Fun twist on the topics today. Dion doesn't know them. So this will be fun because, again, he wasn't supposed to be doing this episode. He's filling in at the last second and nobody sent him the topics. So I'm excited for this. Topic one today comes from a member of our team who has an incredible bit. Tanner McGrath, the one and only Tano, every short he did with me this week, he unveiled Tano's coach speak bullshit meter. And it's incredible. He did this for coaches. He then applied it to players, recruits, media members. It's just an awesome bit. So salute Tanner McGrath, Action Network's own. You're going to see more of him on the channel. He's awesome to work with. And by the way, we had to record at 7 a.m., me and Tano this week, because he had like real world job obligations to get to. First time in channel history anyone's been willing to wake up at 7 a.m. to record. And guess what? Tano was in there at 6:58. I got the text that he was there at 6:58. You need a 30?
I want to say time zones affect that. I want because I'm up at 6 a.m. for this stuff. But granted, we're not recording at the normal 7 a.m. So I do agree with your statement. I just want to preface time zones do affect that.
Oh, for sure. Also, like I would not be able to get up at 7 a.m. even. So this applies to me as much as it applies to the people I'm joking it applies to. I did just find it funny though. Tano's done like 2 days ever in the channel. And one of them was him being like, yeah, I'm willing to wake up at 4 for this. Like whatever you need. So love you, Tano. This is a great segment you inspired. College basketball coach speak bullshit meter. I have 5 things coaches have said in the last week or so. I'm going to give you them one by one, and then we are both going to rate them on the bullshit meter from 1 to 10. A 1 or a 0 being no bullshit, a 10 being maximum amounts of bullshit. We start with Brad Underwood, who I don't have the exact quote in front of me, so I'm going to paraphrase. Maybe I should read the exact quote. Talking Keaton Wagler, comparing him to Kasparis and Will Riley. He said, quote, Keaton Wagler is in the same class as Kasparis Yakashonis and Will Riley. He's an elite competitor who reminds me of Io DeSunmu. 1 to 10, what's the bullshit rating for that?
I'm gonna say 8.5. I do love Keaton Wagler, so I don't want to go full 10 because I really do love Keaton Wagler's game. I think there's a ton of truth to what Underwood was saying. He named players that he knew would resonate with the fan base, and that's why I give it an 8.5 on the bullshit scale.
I'm going to go at 7. Now, I think some people would be surprised we don't put this at a 10, but Keaton Wagler's really good. And I fully believe that. And I think that's the important sentiment of this. The problems for me with the quote are he's not really anything recruit wise, level wise, expectations wise as Kasparis. If it was just Kasparis and Will, or God forbid, if it was just Will Riley, I might say this is no bullshit. But when you start to add 2 guys who have such different games, Kasparis here, Will Riley here, and oh, by the way, as a competitor, he's Io DeSumo. That's where it becomes we're just bullshitting. Like draw the line somewhere. We're doing too much. So it's a 7 for me because I believe Keaton Wagler's great, and that's the sentiment. But we put our too much bullshit touches on it. Next up is my head coach Dusty May, who this week said, "quote This year's team shot it way better than we did all of last summer." Shooting is a question for this roster. What's the bullshit ranking for Dusty saying we shot it way better this summer?
How good of a shooting team was Michigan last year?
Bad.
Yeah, that was my gut reaction. I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. I'm gonna say like a 3 or 4. I don't think this is that crazy of a statement.
Michigan last year shot 33% from three, 205th nationally.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think this is that crazy of a statement then.
If you go through the team, the good shooters last year were Namari Burnett, who is still here, Trey Donaldson, who shot 37% from three. The other guys you lost, Danny Wolf, 33%. Like Reuben Jones, 24%. Like, it's not like there were shooters everywhere. This year's team has more shooters. I don't know if their starting lineup will, but just in terms of practice, Trey McKinney, Winters Grady are guys that last year's team just did not have, in my opinion. Even Yaxel Lendeborg can make shots from outside to a rate that some other guys didn't. So I think this is probably real. It's still a little hyperbolic, so I'm going to give it a 3 on the bullshit meter.
My reasoning behind my 3 or 4, and I'll go 3, 2. I said this on either Danny Wolf's like draft video or on the video where Yaxel decided to come back. If Yaxel can't do exactly what Danny Wolf did, he's gonna have a hard time getting drafted where he wants to be drafted. Like that has to be his floor for what his goals are. And I believe he's gonna exceed what his goals are. So if I believe both those things, I think he can replicate to an extent Danny Wolf's shooting.
Dion, you okay? You look a little sweaty.
So every August, September, my air conditioning breaks and there's just nothing I can do about it.
Dude, that's tough. Out in California too? Like, I mean, what is it, like 80 degrees still there today?
Today's gonna be like 85, 90, but like peak summer, it gets like 110. My AC just doesn't ever hold up.
I mean, it sounds like it's a bummer that you can't take advantage of Duncan Mechanical Solutions because Duncan Mechanical Solutions is an HVAC company based in Angola, servicing the tri-state area, bringing commercial quality to the residential world with excellent customer service. You heard us talk about Duncan Mechanical last summer. If you need heating or air conditioning, kitchen or bath remodeling, or all of the above, Duncan Mechanical is the place to go in the Midwest. Go to DuncanMechanicalSolutions.com to take advantage and make sure you don't wind up like Dion. Yeah. Okay. I think so too. Also, like Danny Wolf shooting came and went a lot last year. So I think Yaxel will be around that bar. We'll see. Next up is Dan Hurley, who said, quote, I considered stepping down at the end of last season due to the emotional drain. He went on to talk about how conversations with Gino Auriemma and Billy Donovan were what convinced him to come back, along with players who said, I'll just play. You don't need to work with my agents. Solo Ball did that to him. So, yeah, the quote, I considered stepping down. Bullshit meter, Dan Hurley, 1 to 10.
Can I give two answers to this one, G?
You can do whatever you want.
So I think it's a 2 because I believe Dan Hurley would step down tomorrow, like depending on what happens. Like I think we're going to be dealing with the Dan Hurley's going to step down stuff until he actually steps down. So I think it's a 2 because I do believe that aspect of it. I think it's a 10 because of everything that is like why he came back. Like, just be honest, Danny. Like, you think about retiring all the time, you think about the NBA all the time. It is what it is. Like, one day you're either going to go to the NBA or you're going to retire. That day is probably sooner than any of us would like to admit because, like, we would prefer Dan Hurley just coaches at UConn as long as possible because it's fun, it's entertaining. But I mean, I love Gino Auriemma, I love Billy Donovan, but like, he was just playing the tunes with that. He knew everybody would love Gino getting a name drop.
So I have a very interesting twist on this. I think this is a 0. Um, now, simultaneously, I don't think Dan Hurley's ever going to leave. I think he's going to end up coaching till Tom Izzo days. Once he turned down the Lakers job, that was the this dude is never leaving. Um, However, Dan Hurley's a psycho. Last season was terrible. A big part of this book is how big his ego is and him realizing he had to come to terms with his ego. Dion, last year's UConn team was just not up to his standards. It probably made him hate his life and want to quit everything. Like he's basically said that. Like the idea of me finishing a season without a championship level team, I don't want to do this anymore. That's 100% real, and he had to come to terms with that. I think it's going to be the thing every year that Hurley doesn't have a championship team on the floor. He's going to consider retiring because he can't handle it. But ultimately, he's come back to it and decided not to. So it's a 0 that he considered stepping down. He's going to keep considering every single year they don't win a national championship. Brad Underwood is next. You got one more thing on Hurley?
Well, I was gonna say I consider stepping down from my 9 to 5 like once a year too. Like I just think that's something you should do. Is just like, should I step down? Okay, mortgage hit. No, I'll go back to work. I just think that should be a part of life.
Very true. There's levels to consideration. Brad Underwood's back, the only two-time bullshit meter coach this week. Brad Underwood said, quote, the Big Ten is, I think, the strongest it's ever been.
Oh,
There's
uh,
18 teams now. Purdue's very good, but the Big Ten is, I think, the strongest it's ever been.
oh, I don't know because there's a part of me that agrees, but I only agree because of Purdue. And that I'm struggling with that. I think Purdue's the only reason I agree with this statement, so I'm gonna say 7.
Respectfully to all parties involved, this is a 10. This is the biggest bullshit lie that was told this week. Just so I have this right. Shimon Zapala was a starting center on the team that just won the Big Ten by 3 games, right?
Yes.
Now I'm
Yeah.
talking that was last year, so maybe it's different, but um I'm sorry. Purdue's very, very good. You want to tell me the team at the top of the league is the strongest it's ever been? I would at least listen to that argument. In the mid 2010s, this predates Brad Underwood, but you had Ohio State Thad Matta, Indiana Tom Crean, Bo Ryan, Wisconsin, prime Tom Izzo, Michigan State, prime John Beeline, Michigan, and Matt Painter all at the same time. That's the strongest the league has ever been. Go back and look at those teams. You had multiple Final Four teams like every single year. I think 5 different Big Ten programs made a national championship run in the young 2000s, 2010s. So, like, just look at Matt Painter, who has been around forever, was not a top 5 coach in the league for 10 years. Now no one can touch him. That tells you about the state of the league.
I think the league will get to what Underwood's saying. Like, I think if you let Darren get a couple years at Indiana and get his roster and McCollum at Iowa, like I think if you can combine those two with a Paint who seemingly is going nowhere, Izzo, excuse me, that was disrespectful. Izzo who's seemingly going nowhere, and Dusty gets a few more of like the richest recruiting classes ever. Now we're talking because I haven't even mentioned UCLA, Oregon, Musselman, who I believe is going to do something at USC one day. Like, I think it could get to the point he's discussing, but at the moment, it's Purdue, the defending Big Ten champion, Michigan Wolverines, and then Sizzy Moan's Apollo's old squad.
There are a lot of good coaches in the league. I buy that, but
Yeah.
we're so far off from until we have like a 10-year stretch where Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin all make a national championship appearance in the same stretch. Like, no, this is Purdue and nobody else right now. And last year it was Shimon Zapala and nobody else. Not the hardest the league has ever been. Lastly, Mark Pope said Otega Owe will be the best defender in the country this season. Bullshit meter 1 to 10.
Within answering this question, what does his offensive role look like in your opinion? Is it the same as last year?
I would assume so, but I don't know what Pope said on that. He just said he's the best defender in the country this year.
If he isn't the primary ball handler or scoring option, I agree tenfold. I've said this a million times. I think Ortega is one of the best defenders in the world. But if he has to carry the offensive load, he physically can't do both, and that's not a him thing. You can look at the pro level. There's points in Bron's career he could have been the greatest defender to ever play, but he had to go get 29 points on the other end. So like you just can't do that.
Yeah, might be Jalen Lowe doing that. Sounds like Jalen Lowe's been great in practice. I'll give this a 2 because it's hard to be the best defender in the country, but Oteka's great at it. He certainly could be. So yeah, I think this is a real expectation. And on this, there's many things I think Mark Pope has bullshitted about this summer. This is not one of them. That's a fun segment. Shout out to Tano for the idea. We need to do that. I think reoccurring basis.